30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in from First Horizon Park, the home of the Nashville Sounds. We welcome all of you. George Plaster. This is Billy Derrick. You won't see him for long.
I'll be out of here in about 15 or 20 minutes or so.
So let me see if I've got this right. You wanted me to get stuck with your bets of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was going to be sort of a teamwork type of thing.
Absolutely not.
Where I might help you out. And maybe if I get you a win, you might count the win, but the losses maybe not. So you're not even going to count the win.
How did you go?
I was 1-2.
No, I want no part of you.
I mean, what if I was 3-0?
Well, then we might talk. It'd be like the scabs in the NFL when they had the strike. If you go 3-0, we're with you. 1-2. Forget it.
Yeah, so this is the no fun league now.
George would have been busting your butt because you bet against the Braves the other day and lost.
I mean, that's sacrilegious.
It was
on the show. Why did you do that?
I don't know. I thought Dodd was pitching.
Dodd is a dud.
And they sent it right back down to Gwinnett right here behind us after that game. Did he get credited for the win, though?
He did not.
Okay, he did not. But, he
didn't go 5 innings, I don't think.
He hasn't been great, so.
Oh, it's a little more than that.
Yeah.
So last night out here, and I came out here, I've been in St. Louis for a couple of days, got to see the Cardinals and the Giants, and that was really, for me, a lot of fun. It's a beautiful stadium in St. Louis. The Cardinals are an absolute mess.
I heard the Boo Birds were out.
The Boo Birds were out in particular on Jack Flaherty, who 3 years ago was becoming one of the 3 or 4 best starting pitchers in the National League, but there has been serious regression. He's walking. I don't know what the stat is. In fact, look it up if you will. It's close to a batter an inning. And I don't care how good your stuff is, and he's got very good stuff. You cannot get away with that against major league hitters. His control was awful. He looked, to me, to be completely lost. There are a couple of things with the Cardinals I came away with.
Yeah, on the road, 23 walks against National League opponents, 27 walks for Jack Flaherty.
Well, against how many innings pitched?
Against National League, 47 innings pitched. On the road, 44 innings pitched. So
hold on. I'm looking for innings pitched compared to walks total.
Okay, regular season this year, 73 innings pitched, 43 walks.
You can't do that more than 4.5 a game.
Yeah.
If I'm the Cardinals, there are 2 things I'm doing. Number one, I'm sending Jack Flaherty somewhere into the minor leagues. Number one, to try to get the pressure off him because he has a chance to be a future ace of that staff. The second thing I'm doing is I'm seriously considering making a managerial change at the All-Star break. They are a dumpster fire. They find ways to lose.
Not happy with the manager.
Oh, I don't care one way or the other. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm saying St. Louis is not happy with the manager.
Yeah, and one of the things, their downtown has deteriorated. And as I look at St. Louis, their economy is very, very tied to the St. Louis baseball Cardinals.
Yeah.
It's a great baseball city. And when they're not going well, downtown in St. Louis is not going well.
And it's a shame. I mean, it's a great baseball city. They love their baseball, but it's almost like the Cardinals organization, the front office, is making it really tough for them to do that. And, you hate it for a city like that. And you said the downtown area has sort of deteriorated. It's kind of goes along with the same theme of the organization that feels like it's almost deteriorating.
John Mozeliak as their leader I don't know. I don't think they're going to make a change there, but I know there are a lot of people in St. Louis that want that, and I can understand it. Out here last night, they had over 9,900 people, and it was very impressive to see. They've got a real shot Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, on those 4 days to draw over 40,000 fans. They've already done that once this year when the Iowa Cubs came to town. If you can draw 40,000 fans on the minor league level on those your four biggest home dates of a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, every year it gets a little bit better here. And you're starting to see the impact that the stadium has had in this area of town.
Oh, sure.
In the city. And you can tell behind us, there's apartments going up. I mean, there's so much action going on at First Horizon Park, and it's fun for everybody. It's not, it's not like you can't bring the family out here and not have some fun either. So it's really a plus for everybody involved. And I know we talked about the Bananas and what they brought here. Sounds might surpass that in one of these games.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, in the next couple of days.
So for those who don't know it, and certainly I keep up with this to a ridiculous level, Mike Soroka will pitch tonight for Gwinnett. Now, why is that important? I used to say before the Braves knocked down the door in 21 that young nucleus was going to win a world title in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. I believe that this young nucleus is so good that they've got a real shot to win a second world title in this 5-year window that they've got.
Soroka's one of the guys that will have to be a part of it, it seems like.
Yeah, it does. I mean, look, there's an awful lot. There's a lot riding on this young guy. At 21 years old, he was something like 4th or 5th in the National League Cy Young voting. If you watch the show, he had him on, 3 weeks ago, something like that. He has ruptured his Achilles tendon twice. You wouldn't wish this on anybody, but I'll say this. If they could get him back to 80% over this attempt to get him back, if they could get him to 80% of what he used to be, they're going to win another world title. Yeah,
and the Braves are keeping an eye on him right now.
Absolutely.
He's a guy that, another injury happens, he might be right back up there in Atlanta. So they're going to be watching tonight in the next several weeks and tracking his progress.
Yeah, there's some good and some bad. The bad is that Spencer Strider has run into, for the first time in his major league career, some hiccups.
Yeah.
And he has not been nearly as good in the last 3-4 starts as he had been.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden they find this kid Smith
Schuster?
Sauvier
or whatever it is. And he won last night with a strong performance. Jared Schuster has given them enough to be dangerous. When they get Kyle Wright and Max Fried back, they're going to be a handful. The Dodgers are one of those problems. The Astros are one of those problems. I don't believe right now the Yankees are at that point. Tampa is. Tampa's going to be a threat. I'm not convinced the Yankees are. I don't want to be convinced. But certainly when Aaron Judge is out, they go in the tank. They don't hit.
Yeah, and Judge and Stan, it feels like one of those two guys are always hurt. They're never healthy at the same time. So, if the Yankees can get them healthy at the same time, they might have a shot. But we haven't seen that.
We're going to have a fun show around 2:20. Nashville Predators play-by-play voice Pete Weber is going to join us. We're going to have him on for about an hour, and we're going to get into a variety of different topics, including the NHL draft that will be in town in about 10 days. So I know we have an update.
Yeah.
Let's lay it on everybody.
We've got a big, long update here, and we start in the NBA with Michael Jordan. He has finalized the sale of the Charlotte Hornets, led by Gabe Plotkin and Rick Schnall, ending the 13-year run as majority owner. So I don't know that maybe people saw this coming. I mean, it obviously, for Michael, he's probably got some other things in mind later in his life.
I think this has driven him crazy because he never was able as an owner to be very successful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you judge it by playoff appearances, Charlotte Hornets really have not been much of a factor.
No, and I think that's probably the biggest part about it, And so he's been the NBA's only black majority owner and purchased the team back in 2010. So he's been there for a good bit. So obviously a little bit of NBA news, more NBA news. Ja Morant, his suspension has been announced. 25 games to start next season. Adam Silver said this decision to once again wield a firearm on social media is alarming and disconcerting given his similar conduct in March, for which he has already been suspended 8 games. The potential for other young people to emulate Ja's conduct is particularly concerning.
I don't have any problem with the number of games, but I would have gone farther with this, and I'll tell you where I would have gone farther. I would have made it clear to Ja publicly, if there's a third one of these, it will be a 1-year suspension. And if there's a fourth, you will never play in the NBA again.
Yeah, and take a back seat. Basketball needs to take a back seat. That's what Adam Silver said in another one of his quotes. Prior to his return to play, he will be required to formulate and fulfill a program with the league that directly addresses the circumstances that led him to repeat this behavior. Now, what that program looks like, who knows?
Who knows?
And who knows if it's going to help. But I think the longer than 25 games part of what you said is interesting. Does this send enough of a statement to him?
I don't know whether it did or not. It seems in the range of what is realistic.
Yeah.
But I would have gone a step farther if I was Adam Silver, and I would have publicly said there better not be a third one. If there is, it's point blank, a 1-year suspension. If there's a fourth, you'll never play in this league again.
It does feel like they're kind of riding that line a little bit still.
And look, I mean, he's one of the 2 or 3 most dynamic stars this game has. But I think the NBA can it can live whether he's a part of it or not.
Yeah, and they will live. I mean, they just finished a great NBA playoffs. I thought it was very entertaining in the finals. Obviously was dominant, but again, congrats to the Nuggets there. But number 3, George, College World Series in Omaha is underway. Oral Roberts and TCU right now, no score. Top of the 4th out in Omaha, so always great watching that. Tonight, Virginia and Florida. Tomorrow, Stanford and Wake Forest, and then Tennessee and LSU. George, I would think that game draws a number.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and listen, for those who have never been to this event, I've been to it once. It's incredible. This is Mammoth Cave of ballparks. And teams that have success in Omaha ultimately do it with small ball. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for the home run to be your weapon, this may not be the park.
Wake is the team to watch, and they've hit a ton of home runs. So is Florida. So have a lot of these teams. So it'll be interesting to see how they translate that into Omaha. George, U.S. Open going on. I did not even realize that until a couple days ago, which is interesting. But let's take a look at the leaderboard. Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler, and Xander Schauffele are all tied at first place at the top of the leaderboard. Harris English in 4th. Sam Bennett, Roy McIlroy, Dustin Johnson also at the top, near the top of that leaderboard. I'm happy for Ricky Fowler. I mean, we haven't really seen him at the top of any leaderboard in a while, not just, a major, just a normal tournament, So Kelly talked about that yesterday, how happy he is for Ricky Fowler. George, back another small piece here in the NBA. Mike Dunleavy has been named the Warriors' new GM.
Now, this is the son. The father was the coach. The son was the player.
Mike Dunleavy Jr.
Yeah.
He has been named the Warriors' new GM. He's 42 years old, so fairly young general manager, elevating from vice president of operations, and he will replace Bob Myers, who stepped down after 11 years.
He's got his hands full. They've got some big decisions to make in the next 12 months.
They sure do, especially with a guy named Draymond Green. So we'll see what happens with him. Lastly here, George, before we take a break, according to a report, Aaron Rodgers vetoed a trade to the Patriots. WFAN media personality Craig Carton said that New England reportedly made an offer to Green Bay to try to get Rodgers over to their team. However, on the Carton show yesterday, Carton showed that Rodgers turned down the offer because of his desire to play in the Big Apple.
Interesting.
I did not.
Wonder
Obviously,
if he talked to Tom Brady about it.
might have been a word of advice there from Brady.
Who knows? I mean, it's an interesting story, and who knows if it's true or not. I would guess in the next week or two that somebody else will probably address it.
That's a sports talk show. Did you ever have a story broken through an interview, a big time story like this? Because this is a pretty big story. In your years, whether it was interview, has a story been broken through that?
I don't know.
I'm sure articles and pieces have been written, but it's interesting. That was on a sports talk radio show. I
got to think at some point we're bound to have, but if you're asking me right off the bat, I can't think of one.
That is a tough question.
So I know we're going to go to the break. Predators play-by-play voice Pete Weber is going to join us, and we're going to have a lot of fun, get into a variety of subjects with Pete. So stick around. This will be interesting. It's never dull when he comes on this show. Stay tuned. From First Horizon Park, we are back with more in just a moment. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over. We are back here at First Horizon Park. The Gwinnett, I almost said Braves. They're the Stripers. I have no idea what that's about, but they will play each other tonight at 6:35, and they will have over 10,000 here. Pete, I put it out earlier.
Yeah.
They got a chance Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to have over 40,000. And on the minor league level, when you take those 4 dates, your 4 best drawing dates, and you average over 10,
you're doing very well.
You're cooking with gas.
Yes, you are. And there are probably some people who don't want to cook with gas right now, but that is a great formula for them. And it says a lot about this as a baseball community.
we may get to that later.
Yeah.
But let's get to your sport.
Yes.
So I remember it's now been 20 years ago. Ellie Westman basically cornered me one night. Actually, she invited me to dinner, but she admitted, I've got some things I need here. And she was basically in charge for the Convention and Visitors Bureau of helping with the assistance of getting the word out about the NHL draft. And as you recall, it worked incredibly well. We drew over 13,000 on that Saturday. Help me with this. I don't guess the NHL had ever really seen anything like that.
No, they had not. I mean, where they had the draft before, when they did it remotely, when I came into the league, it was a conference telephone call going to the floor of the hotel in Montreal. So doing that, I mean, I love the looks on their faces when they did the roll call of the teams. And Jim Gregory called Nashville, and there's just this huge roar from the crowd. So, yeah, that impressed them a great deal. Now it's 20 years later. Let's see if the same thing can happen.
Okay, help me. Shea Weber, Ryan Suter.
Yep.
Who else were Preds out of that draft?
Kevin Klein, Alex Stolzer. Let me see, the played for the Predators. I think that pretty much is it. But to get 4 players out of one draft, amazing.
So the Preds appear to be aligned to something like that this time. They've got a ton of draft picks.
As of now, 13.
Right. And normal would be what? 7, 8?
Yeah.
So
for example, they couldn't pick Pecorini now because the round that he was picked no longer exists.
You know, and you see that in a lot of sports. I mean, Mike Piazza would never have gotten drafted. Keith Hernandez would never have gotten drafted.
Even with his bloodlines and his dad having been a pro ball player.
Okay, so I'm going to hopscotch all over the place for a second. If about a week ago, the Braves did something that I found very interesting. And they did a broadcast with no play-by-play announcer. Now, you might say, oh, I'm not sure I like that. And I might say, I'm not sure I like that. But if you were going to pick 4 Predators from the past to recreate the Francoeur, Chipper Jones, Glavin, Smoltz, who would they be?
Thomas Vokoun, 1, without any question. Paul Correa, if he tells me he'll be loquacious.
Loquacious?
Yes.
Very nice.
If he'll go out and speak. Tom Fitzgerald. He's a natural.
General manager of New Jersey.
Right. And father of a defenseman on the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
And my 4th. You know, because he's so funny, I think Sebastian Bordelot.
Okay.
Who's with the team now as an assistant coach.
So Jeff Francoeur sort of had the lead role.
Yeah.
What if your lead role in that was your guy, Crispy?
Well, now, that would be very interesting. We might have to go into a delay situation on the broadcast.
More than 7 seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. But, I mean, think about that. It was, you know, I told Jeff, I said, you're almost going to become a radio sports talk show host.
Right.
Because you've got to be a good listener to see where these guys take it. And, of course, you know, the other 3 are big talkers. The Glavin probably being the least of the talkers.
Yes.
But all 4 of them, you know, they're not gun shy to talk.
No. And
so,
Chipper particularly not gun shy of talking. If you bring up the name of Angel Hernandez, he will talk for a long, long time after you bring that name up.
So for me, when I sat there and said, okay, this was a rousing success, it drew a big number for them. The team that I think would be one of the best on the major league level is the Mets. You start with Keith Hernandez and Darling, who I think are a great 3-man booth. And you throw in a couple of those 86 world title Mets, you've got something.
Yes. Give me Ray Knight. Give me Darryl Strawberry. Yeah, you got a good start there.
Yeah. So let's go back on the draft. Kind of tell people what all is going to go on around this. I know I've hopscotched all over the place. Right. I should have prepared this a little better, but it just sort of crossed my mind.
Consciousness is good.
I ought to ask you.
So we're going to see, number one, you want to feel old. The draft birth year of most of these players is going to be 2005.
Yeah.
So when the Predators were formed, that draft held in Buffalo was 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. So
scary.
So you really have to project kids. I mean, you're not going to get too many of this 17, 18-year-olds coming in and being able to have a big impact right off the bat. So some of these guys are going to end up going to the minor leagues for a little bit. Some might return to their college teams and continue their seasoning there. So it's not like the NFL draft where you expect guys to come in and make John Madden,
immediate,
a big
3
impact.
months. Yeah. So with that in mind, is it realistic to expect that somewhere Barry uses one or two of those picks for other purposes?
He's not against it from what he said. Now, what sort of deal will he get offered? And is he going to try to use multiple picks to move up a spot or two, like they did, what was it, 2005, 2004, when they moved up to get Jordan Tutu?
Wow. Going back through a little Preds history and all of this. So let's start with Barry.
Yep.
We all knew that, I would call it the elephant in the room, that somewhere in here, when he moved back to town, there was a likelihood something was going to happen. But it really seems like he put a lot of thought into the whole, if I become a GM, then what?
Yes. Yeah. And he's a great student of the process. He came up initially with the Washington Capitals organization as a scout and then became coach of their farm club in the American Hockey League.
Almost a Tommy Lasorda kind of path.
He just not quite as
rotund.
Well, or verbose.
Verbose. Okay, I like that.
As Tommy Lasorda can be, and Tommy can be almost tragic, seriously verbose when he goes after certain things. But no, I think that Barry has known from the ground up what a hockey organization is trying to do. He's played the role of coach so very well for years at 3 NHL stops and then a couple in the American Hockey League. I mean, he even broke in a young broadcaster as his roommate, Kenny Albert.
Oh, wow.
Kenny Albert had to room with him. That was the deal with the Baltimore Skipjacks. When he was
Skipjacks.
Skipjacks.
Okay. Skipjacks.
Yes.
I'd never heard that before. Yep. So he seems, first of all, it's kind of an awkward deal where you're the GM in waiting, and here you've got a man who you respect as much as he has respected David Poyle, who's been in this business forever, got a hockey pedigree with his father. But it doesn't feel like he just said, well, I'm going to tiptoe around, I'm going to make my mark.
Yeah. And he wants, as he's already publicly announced, he wants his scouts to take some home run swings, going for broke on several picks, particularly the higher picks, hoping that they get the skill, combination, size, speed that comes in that he thinks they need.
He does seem, we all say, the goal is obviously to win the Stanley Cup.
Right.
But I think most of us knew, look, this was not going to be a Stanley Cup year.
Yep.
In fact, until the young guys got there, it really wasn't a very interesting team at all. But
they made it interesting.
Oh, they made it very interesting. But it seems like he's come in and said, don't know if it's intentional, but it feels like the bar's here, and I'm going to force the issue and raise it up here.
Yes, exactly. As when he was coaching the early year Predators, And the joke was that if you could walk in to the dressing room under this limbo bar, you were too short. And there were a lot of too short guys.
Yes,
I mean, Cliff Ronning, et cetera, coming in. So always looking for more size with the skill. So let's see what the scouts put together for him.
So, Pete, with this number of draft picks, it'd be easy to assume, well, first of all, you know this better than I do. Can you take 13 picks in a draft and wield them in there?
You can. You're going to have to be patient with maybe 7 or 8 of those. The upper level guys, what is it, 7 in the top 63 or something like that? So probably half of those have a chance of making a first-year impact. And that might be too generous in that. But I think that now, with what we saw youngsters do this last half of the season with the Predators, I don't think that's exactly far-fetched.
So for a fan coming in that they get to watch some of this, talk about what all is going to go on that they can have a chance to watch.
What they're really going to like being in the arena is watching the traffic between the different teams' draft tables. And that's where you begin to, they're talking
There's
about
something going on.
Something is going on. They're hoping that when Gary Bettman steps to the microphone next, he makes this announcement. We have a trade. Then there's a roar, and he reads the particulars of that trade. So when he says we have a trade, the Predators have sent their first 2 first-round draft picks. There are only 2 right now. And they've sent them off to the Chicago Blackhawks, who don't want to take Connor Bedard. That should result in quite a party.
So tell me about Bedard, because it sounds like he's almost the hockey equivalent of this guy. Billy, help me. Victor, say the last name.
There we go. I don't even want to try.
I don't think you were on, which is probably good. You know what I'm talking about. The NBA has got a kid that San Antonio is going to draft.
Victor Wembanyama.
Wembin what?
Yamba.
Okay, sure. Great.
He's an Irish kid.
So is this kid that the Blackhawks are going to draft, is he sort of hockey's version of this?
He's this generation's Sidney Crosby.
Wow.
So,
can't miss.
Right. Though that's one thing I loved. When I was with the LA Kings. And
look over here. Look over here. So
the
audience can't see it. So the plugging in of the mic.
That's critical.
Kind of a 101. Let's get Billy back
there
in.
There you go, Billy.
Kind of an important aspect to
you think?
It really is. It's one of those fundamentals.
Even George knows that.
Barely. So, I mean, is this what you hear from everybody?
Yes.
Can't miss.
Though, like I was going to say, we had a guy who was the Kings captain for quite a while, came out of Clarkson University, and his bio in the media guide said, rated a definite can miss prospect by King scouts. So, Dave, you could have missed, but he didn't. And he played over 1,000 games and captained the Kings for a good number of years.
So let me see if I've got this right. First night is how many rounds?
Just one.
Just one round, just like the NBA does it.
Right. And then the second night is from the second round through the conclusion. So it could take some time. So if you're coming for night 2 as well, make sure you've had your nap.
It could be a while.
Yeah.
And then the awards stuff is before that?
On Monday, yeah. So it's Monday for the awards, Wednesday and Thursday for the draft.
Okay. For those who have never been to the awards deal, talk us through that a little bit.
Well, I want you to go to the awards show like we had when Eddie Olczyk in Las Vegas made out with a $160 investment in a pick 6 from Hollywood Park. And then they called him back to the sports book after the draft, after the awards were over, and he had $500,000 waiting for him there.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's the way to enjoy the awards show.
Okay, yeah. So
and with DraftKings now.
Where did you come with that?
I've known Eddie for so long. His dad brought him up at Arlington Park Racetrack, the one that the Bears have bought and are now going to build, it seems, their stadium. right there in the western suburbs.
Okay, that's a great story.
When we call Eddie on 3 weekends in the late spring to get his picks, just so you understand.
Next time you get those, pass them on.
We'll do. As we always, Crispy and I always call Eddie our sports investment advisor.
I like that.
Yes.
We'll talk more about that kind of stuff and more. We'll get to Las Vegas on a couple of fronts when we come back. But first, let's talk Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Now you probably are better on this than I am. Have you ever been to a Grand Prix?
Yes.
Okay, I have not.
Right. But of auto racing, I think that's the elite.
Yeah. Well, I'm going this year. Liz Allison invited me. And what I've said in the commercial is, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell people I've never been to one. But, Pete, what I have gotten is people who are in the same category as I am. Never been to one, but in the last 2 years, they went, and they're like, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah. The one thing you want to avoid is flying tires coming at your head. You like to be able to duck and elude that if you can.
I'm sure they appreciate that as part of the commercial.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. You see the weekend dates at the bottom of the screen. Another thing they have done very well is incorporate music. For 3 days, there is going to be some terrific music and great musical acts. The tickets are now on sale. You can go to their website, musiccitygp.com. Again, musiccitygp.com. And stay tuned. We'll have more with our sports investment advisor, Pete Weber. Stay tuned. If you're looking for a football camp for your son or daughter that stresses the fundamentals and doing things right, let me suggest the Hometown Football Camp. Here's former MTSU quarterback, Wes Counts.
The Hometown Football Camp is a youth football camp at Battleground Academy, June 19th through 21st. This is a working skills camp for young football players to learn proper technique and skills to prepare them for the upcoming season. Our coaches have won championships at both high school and college levels and are eager to pass along their knowledge. So if the young football player in your life wants to be successful this fall, send them to the Hometown Football Camp. Register at hometownfootballcamp.com. That's hometownfootballcamp.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service. Growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals, who share the founders' passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
We are back here at First Horizon Park. The Sounds have a big game tonight at 6:35 against the Gwinnett Stripers. And I'll be out here because...
You're just going to stay, right?
I am going to stay. And I made a bad mistake. I forgot. I don't know. I left the shorts at home. It'll be a little warm.
Yeah.
Be a little warm.
But it's not bad now.
No, it's not. We really have not gotten... It seems like summer is a little late in sort of its, 90-degree stuff. So,
like the old days under the press box at Greer Stadium, which held every degree of heat possible.
It did. So I don't know who knows this or who doesn't. I first got to know Pete Weber when he was the voice of the Buffalo Bisons.
Yeah.
And you all would come in here and play when the Sounds went AAA. There was a point where Buffalo was drawing just ridiculous, massive crowds.
7 straight years over 1 million.
Yeah. How did they do it, and what sort of killed it?
Well, the new ballpark coming in played a huge role in that. The last year in the park where The Natural was filmed was like 497,000. The very next year, close to 1.2 million.
Good Lord.
And just kept building on that. Expanded the capacity of the park. It started out 19.5, and then it went to 21 something, and that made it a little bit easier. Gave you a little bit more flexion on all that.
I don't have to rush to get the tickets because they're going to be available.
Yes.
So would Buffalo be a good major league city?
I don't know if it would be now because of the economics. I thought it was going to be. Definitely, I put my future on that.
Sure.
But that was, all of a sudden, the economics of the game changed drastically. I guess we should ask fans in Oakland.
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Yes.
Here in just a second. So if I had said to you once the pairings were announced, Pete, who's going to win the Stanley Cup?
Yep.
Would Vegas have rolled off your tongue?
Vegas would have been near the top, but not necessarily the favorite. I mean, the favorite in my mind was the team Florida beat in the first round, the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
A historically incredible season.
What do you think went on there? Is that just simply they're feeling so much pressure that if it ever gets tight late, they're in trouble?
It could be, but I just think it's a matchup, and Florida had the perfect foil there to knock off. They were the team that had the swagger, and the Bruins. Now, let's also keep in mind the Bruins were up 3-1.
Right.
And that doesn't get blown easily.
Yeah. And they were up a goal with less than a minute to play in regulation of Game 7.
Yes. But still, they end up on the bad end of the handshake line after the game.
So if they had gotten past this and we had gotten to Vegas, Boston, then what?
Would have been a great matchup. I'm sure better than what we just saw in the final round with Florida, and they're making sure they are paying their Blue Cross Blue Shield premiums with all the injuries they had.
Oh, man.
You had Aaron Ekblad with a broken foot from the first round. You had the broken clavicle for Tkachuk, and that was in game 3.
Yeah.
Game 3 for him. So how he was able to even get his uniform on for game 4, and then obviously did not play in game 5. But I think that would have been spectacular for hockey fans.
When you watched Florida, did you at all say, this is the Preds of 17?
Very much so. They're the last team to make it in. They barely made it in. And then they come out and knock off the number 1 seed like that. Certainly resemblance there.
They kept finding ways every time you felt like, okay, it's over.
Yeah.
You know, in the second round or the third round, they'd come up with something and you'd be like, how are they doing this?
Right. It was a very tight group in that room. They all got along great together. And this is a group that didn't come together till the trade last offseason between Calgary and Florida. And to get a Tkachuk and to bring him into the room. And then not to mention the fact that they had his father around acting as a de facto advisor.
Yes.
You guys are soft. Okay, we'll show you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll show you. And they did.
And Bobrovsky was just out of his gourd.
Yes, he was.
For
and
2 months.
It was Alex Lyon who was the first goaltender they used. And then all of a sudden Bobrovsky, to paraphrase an old TV show title, the $10 million man comes in, and he just was as hot as anybody could possibly have imagined.
Do you think the Stanley Cup is the hardest thing in sports to win?
Yes, I do. Yep. I mean, I've been through those Super Bowl trials and tribulations. I've seen the St. Louis Cardinals fall apart this last bit just after they had been so very close. Yeah, I think that it is. And I think also the NBA championship, how hard that has to be too. Denver just won for the first time
in 50.
Well, since joining the NBA,
Yeah.
But they were 8 years of the ABA before
Sure.
that, as the Denver Rockets initially.
Yeah. So obviously Vegas had advantages that the Predators did not have
right.
in those expansion deals. Did the league go too far in that? Is it wrong that a team in year whatever it is?
Year 6, yeah.
Year 6. Is year 6 too early?
Well, Philadelphia Flyers fans would tell you they waited till year 7, as the New York Islanders did, year 7 for them. But I think everybody has to feel they have a legitimate shot at it. And especially when they paid, and this is the Golden Knights, when they paid $500 million to join the league, which is more than 6 times more than what the Predators, the Thrashers, the Blue Jackets, and the Minnesota Wild paid to join at the turn of the last century. I can't.
So more like 80 to 500 million.
Yes, 80 to 500 million. So all of a sudden, you go, because of that, change the rules. So those teams, Predators included, maybe got to pick the 14th or 15th best player. Well, now you come in and you get the 8th or the 9th.
Did you think that the first time you went in there to do a game,
yes,
were you certain Vegas will be a great market?
As loud as that place was, George, and I couldn't hear anybody back at the station talking to me. So that gave me an idea about how rabid they were. And thankfully, they didn't get their shots. They've continued to be as rabid in now they call it the Fortress. Now, maybe some of that pregame bit that they do at center ice is a little bit far-fetched, but hey, they like it. The fans love it.
Although, don't you think to a point they almost took the Predator script?
Oh yeah,
and sort of said,
and
okay,
to it.
we're gonna copy this. We're gonna add a little something here. But it looked like they got a hold of the Preds script and said, "This is the gold standard. Can we go past it?"
Yeah. Yeah. And George, we can pat ourselves on the back here, but yes, I think they did do that. And I think about some of those bits. My favorite Predators bit of all time is still doing a close-up of the Red Wings bench and then fading to a videotape they had done where it looked like the Red Wings were all from an old folks home. They had all these things lined up on the bench, including IVs, and I think they were
nursing home,
yes,
kind of
boxes of Depends already.
Right.
And the guys on the Red Wings bench were laughing hilariously at it. Brett Hull looked up there. Hey, look at you.
Look at this. This is real progress. Billy, who figured out how to turn his mic on, apparently wants to say something.
Good.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Pete, I want to ask you, talked about the Predators script, and George kind of asked you about the script and how the Vegas might have taken a little bit of that. I don't want to say it's been lost a little bit, but it's been since 2017, 18, and 19 where, okay, we need it back. Preds fans want it back so bad, the joy and the passion of that 2017 season. How quick can it change in the NHL? How quickly can the Preds get right back to that 2017 magic? Because it feels like it could happen pretty quick.
Well, let's talk about the Florida Panthers and what they just did. Last year, they won the President's Trophy and were out in the second round. This year, what do? They blow through everybody until they get to the final, and by dint of a somewhat significant trade, to be certain. But I think the quick turnaround is far more doable now than it was when I first started in the NHL. When I first started in the NHL, I was with the LA Kings in 1978, and none of us ever took seriously the idea that, Kings got a shot. They're in the playoffs. No, they're not going to knock off the Rangers. They're not going to knock off the Islanders, who were at the beginnings of a real run at that point in time. But I think it's doable much more quickly now than ever it was before.
Here would be the other point to that. That answer feels a lot easier after we saw March and early April than if you'd asked that question in late February.
If you had asked that question in late February, I would have said, let's forget about this for a while, huh?
Yeah. But those young guys really created an infusion of something that, for me, as a season ticket holder, gives me some hope.
Gives you hope. You saw the enthusiasm of them as they attacked their position, and I think they did an outstanding job taking it down to the last two games of the year as to whether or not they were going to make the playoffs.
Yes.
They did not, but it was a lot more entertaining than it was in February.
Or as I would say in 304 row 1, we're in a pennant race.
Yeah.
Now, you know what's coming after the break?
No. A pennant race?
No. Stat of the day.
Okay.
You're going to help me with it.
All
Hold
right.
on. Billy apparently wants to talk again.
Quick scoreboard
Maybe we
update.
should have pulled his mic.
Quick scoreboard update. TCU leads Oral Roberts 1-0, top of the sixth out in Omaha.
TCU.
Yep. The Horned Frogs.
They've been there a few times.
Yes, they have.
Okay.
That was my first college football game.
TCU?
Yep.
There?
No, at Notre Dame.
Oh, wow.
And I called my classmates' only collegiate touchdown that day.
Nice. We'll go to the break, and then Pete will participate in the humiliating stat of the day. Stick around. This might be pretty interesting.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in Stat of the Day time on this gorgeous Friday here at First Horizon Park in Nashville. Sounds getting ready to take on the Gwinnett Stripers tonight at 6:35. We got Pete Weber with us, the voice of the Preds, for Stat of the Day. Presented by the good folks at John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. 204 East Depot Street is where you can find them. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So give them a call at 931-492-4304. We're going to go golf today. And Billy mentioned Ricky Fowler, so we're going to give Ricky a plug here. Ricky Fowler shot a 62 during his opening round of the U.S. Open yesterday in Los Angeles. That score is tied for the lowest round in men's major history. Can you name the only other player to shoot a 62 in championship history?
Pete, I remember Johnny Miller had a 63 in the final round of the U.S. Open, and I want to say that was in 73.
Could well have been. He was in his prime then, definitely.
Are you plucking one out of thin air here?
I'm thinking, for some reason, Gardner Dickinson.
I think it's Gardner Dickinson.
Really good guesses. More recent.
More recent?
Oh, God.
2017.
Whoa. So it's not
62.
It's not Lee Trevino, obviously.
No.
2017.
No, we're basically going to just say
it's a pass.
Pass on it. White flag. It is Braden Grace. 2017.
Who?
Yeah, really good.
I think he's Mark's brother, right?
That was the first thing I thought of, Pete. Oh, I love it. Well, whoever Braden Grace is,
congrats to him.
Good for him. Yeah. I mean, that's a heck of an accomplishment.
But what's he done since?
Probably nothing.
Well, you think about it. You and I didn't even know the name.
No.
Anyway, we welcome all of you into the 3 o'clock hour. In the background is First Horizon Park, where the Sounds take on Gwinnett tonight. We expect an over 10,000 crowd tonight. Mike Soroka pitches for Gwinnett, and obviously that is of real interest to me. Pete, it seems when you can take a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think they're going to draw over 40,000 for those 4 days. That's pretty good.
It's not just pretty good. It's real good. And
it's cooking with gas.
Do they have the assurances? Do we check with Stefano on Channel 4? What's his weather forecast for the next several days?
Well, from everything I hear, it's really good. But since as you know, I have that and phone skills that are unprecedented. No rain tomorrow and 87. No rain Sunday, 88.
Okay.
Looking pretty good.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back to Vegas for a minute.
Yes.
As long as you and I have been in the sports business, the Oakland Coliseum has been an issue that baseball hadn't been able to solve. Now, they're, a younger audience, Billy's audience that can't go past 5 years. This issue.
Doesn't remember Reggie Jackson.
Right. Doesn't know who Sal Bando was. Never heard of Dick Williams.
Joe Rudy.
Charles O. Finley. Hold
I've
on.
got a guest.
Billy, does that name ring a bell?
Reggie Jackson rings a bell, not O. Finley, though.
Oh, Charles Finley was the owner.
If you want as a guest, I can get Charlie's niece, who I know.
We need to do that.
Yeah. She's a
Charlie's
historian.
not with us anymore.
Nor is her father, who was Charlie's brother.
So, Pete, help me with this. So, we've waited 30 years that this has been talked about, that something had to give with the Oakland Coliseum. And then all of a sudden, in about a 3-week period, it's like lightning has struck.
Yes.
And boom, we really think they're going to Vegas.
And the governor of Nevada already signed the bill.
Right.
To take care of things. So Vegas, all of a sudden, has stolen 2 franchises from Oakland. And if it hadn't been for the new, I'm going to call Coliseum, that was built for the Warriors, they might have another one.
So let me ask this one first. I read this thing about ballpark capacity at 30,000. And yeah, I get the fact that teams are, in the old days, everybody was 50,000.
Yes.
Then we
if
started,
not more.
Then we started saying, okay, 42 to 45,000. St. Louis was one of the first. Atlanta probably regrets right now that they've only got, 41, 42,000 seats, because in this run, they could use them.
Yes, they could.
But when I hear 30, I'm like, that's a little short-sighted.
Yes, it's like the era in which Wrigley Field and Fenway were built in the 19-teens when they came in. So, yeah, I hate to see someone short sell themselves in that regard. And we know they can sell the tickets if they had 40. And 40 might be too few.
Okay, so you're certain. I mean, it's one thing. Hockey is 41 home games a year and then playoffs. Baseball is 81. You're certain Vegas will be a very strong franchise.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I think that it's going to be now, maybe they don't want to air condition any more than 30,000 seats, because that's what they're going to have to do.
Right.
Can you imagine a summer night game
my God.
outside in Vegas?
I mean, we've both been there.
Yeah.
It's suffocating.
Yes, it is.
There's a, you hear this, it's dry heat. It's heat.
It's quite hot heat. Let's put it that way.
Oh, it's blooming hot. So you're convinced Vegas works.
Yes.
So now we turn our attention to Tampa.
Yeah.
Where it seems like we're getting mixed messages about, are they going to get out of Tropicana, which is a dump?
Oh, is it ever?
And, it's in a bad location.
Tough drive.
What do you hear Tampa-wise?
Tampa, the ownership desperately wants a ballpark on that side of the bay in the Tampa proper, but I don't know if they have the money to do it.
Wow. What is the disconnect? I mean, this is a great team, and it's been an underdog that fights through all the obstacles. They have no payroll. It's all, farm driven. It's not big free agency. What is the disconnect with the citizenry down there?
I think it's the land of no taxes. They'd like to keep it that way if they possibly could. I mean, that's a team that's been overcoming it since 2008. That was the year they made the World Series for the first time.
David Price.
Yes. And David being a closer at that point in time, what a job he did.
So is your belief that Tampa will stay in Tampa? What do you think? What's your crystal ball?
My feeling now is that they will, because Tampa will react to what has happened with Oakland. I think that will push them to do something positive to keep what is a very good baseball club there.
Okay, let me toss this, because we've had all the talk. It's Oakland and Tampa, and then we start talking.
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible there's really a third one, and it's the Marlins that need to get fixed one way or the other? Because this is a good young ball club.
Yes, it is.
That right now is a bigger challenger to the Braves than the Mets or the Phillies.
Yes, it is. And can they get it fixed? I always thought that when they, and I was involved in the expansion process for Buffalo, but I thought when they went Denver, okay. I thought then the next best thing would have been to go to where the Braves had their spring training and build a ballpark there. I thought it would have had a larger area from which to draw, and certainly abundantly more real estate.
Yeah. You're talking in the Orlando.
Yes.
In that area. So, I've asked this question. If tomorrow Tampa solved their problem,
yep,
they just magically pulled in Oakland and boom, it's done. Then what happens at these winter meetings?
Oh, that'll be very, very interesting. It'll be like the old days in the early 90s when the various municipalities were gathering their public relations machines,
right,
to try to get the grant of a franchise.
And it seems like this city, the group that's trying to do this, they've certainly inundated everybody with the word.
Yes.
And that does seem to have struck. I heard a Yankee telecast recently, and I was surprised to hear this. They listed Nashville and Salt Lake City as the two front runners.
Okay.
That surprised me. I'd never really heard Salt Lake City to that level.
That's very recent development there. I mean, because it was Charlotte, Portland getting involved too. But Portland, in a way, made a mistake. They redid what was their old baseball stadium into a soccer-only facility for the MLS. So they would have a lot further to try to come. But right now, I just love the juggling of all this. It's so much fun to watch.
No, it's like, it's like politics.
Very much like politics.
Yeah. But the one you don't hear anymore, 2 years ago, you were hearing a lot of Montreal is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
What's happened there?
Well, I think there's a couple of things there. Number one is the taxation level in Quebec. And I've talked to you about this in terms of hockey. For the Montreal Canadiens to sign a free agent, a high-profile free agent, they almost have to pay a 50% extra.
Good Lord.
Just because of the taxes there.
Yeah. So is that the reason the Canadians, who were once the Boston Celtics of hockey,
yep,
why you really don't hear nearly as much about them?
I'm sure it's part of it. I'm sure it's The scouts aren't at the same level they were. And one other thing we have to remember, for many years, until 1970, the Montreal Canadiens always had the pick of the top 2 players from the province of Quebec.
Talk to me about that.
They had to give that up. So when Buffalo came in 1970, Gilbert Perreault, who became the superstar of the Sabres, would not have been a Sabre. He would have been a Montreal
Canadian. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm tossing a bunch of what ifs at you.
Yeah.
Because I'm very fascinated by where, for a long time, I know I'm hopscotching around here, but for a long time, Pete, we never really thought Oakland would get this fixed.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, in a span of 3 weeks to a month, it's like they've snapped a finger and boom, it's done.
They needed more than just a plumber to come in there and fix the backup sewer. And they didn't get it done.
Where is the possum? What do we know about the possum?
The visiting broadcast booth at the Oakland Coliseum. And evidently this is the most fearsome possum ever known to man, because he has scared broadcasters out of their booth.
Wouldn't it scare you out of yours?
No. At my in-laws years ago in Knoxville, I was sitting at the computer doing some work one night, and all of a sudden all the power went out in that area of the house. Then I go out to the electrical box and I see a possum who'd electrocuted himself trying to get warm.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
Thank you for sharing that. So let's go back to Tampa for just a second.
Sure.
What if they don't get it fixed?
They're going to move. They're going to have to. I don't see any way around that.
Okay. In your mind, because there's this geographical, Oakland being with Vegas makes a lot of sense because, it's a shift of a 4-hour flight, I guess.
Not even that long.
Not even, a shift of an hour and a half flight.
Yeah.
For scheduling purposes. Tampa, that's East Coast. Is Nashville number 1 if that's what were to happen?
So in a geographically only question, now facility here. That's the next question. Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Those are big questions.
Huge.
But up till now, there's just been this feeling that, someday we might have to discuss this. And all of a sudden, it's starting to feel like someday's getting really close.
Very close. Yes. I would say that John Lohr and company would probably like to see somebody sitting down at the planning commission and saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to pay for it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do this before I get you out of here. Let's go NHL draft one more time.
Okay.
Let's start with Monday and the awards banquet.
That's going to be some fun. That's going to be certain. And then the league does a pretty good job of bringing in various entertainers. So I don't know who exactly is lined up yet, but I would like to think that Terrence Arthur Crisp would be, I'd like to see his stand-up coming out on stage to get that started.
You think he's involved?
I hope so.
Well,
I don't know.
He should be.
Yeah.
Hold on. Billy, again, looks like he's plugged his mic in. What's the problem, Billy?
No, I'm good, George.
I thought you had something to add.
No, nothing to add there.
Okay. Okay, so night number 1 is the awards dinner.
Right.
Then a day off.
Tuesday is the Coaches Association golf tournament at the Hermitage Golf Club.
Oh.
I'm going to MC that.
Okay, excellent. Wednesday, round 1 of the draft.
Yep.
Thursday,
round 2 through 7.
And that could go on a while.
It could. They probably will start an hour earlier, I think, just to allow for the length, but also the number of minutes between choices goes down.
For the record, and I cannot let this broadcast end without saying this, Pete Weber and Willie Donick are co-winners this year of Tennessee Sportscaster of the Year.
Thank you.
But am I right that neither one of you can be there?
Because of the draft.
Oh,
conflicting on the calendar.
That's a shame.
Yes.
Couldn't they move it?
They could, but why should we move it for us? And there are like 49 other states.
Well, I mean, you have a point. Okay, so for Willie, this is the first time he's won it.
Yep.
You've won it multiple times.
Yep.
How many?
9, I believe.
9. 9 times.
Yeah.
Wow. Job well done.
Thank you very much, George. This has been fun here today. And I got to tell you, I want to thank the Sounds. I want to thank the weathermen for taking care of us.
We both do.
Yes. This has been tremendous. And you've got 43 minutes to get a hold of Eddie Olczyk and get his picks.
What track?
He'll give you any track.
Any track. Monmouth
Park, yeah.
Monmouth he'd give us.
He would do more at Belmont. I mean,
Evangelista wasn't there a racetrack, not just the player for the Preds.
Right.
Okay. Parks.
Yes.
He can give us Parks. Lone Star.
He might be able to do that for you.
Ellis Park in Evansville.
Yes.
Okay. We'll get him.
Let's do it.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me out, George. Appreciate it.
I hope all of you enjoyed as we just sort of shot the bull and reminisced. And
there are a bunch of dead bulls out here now.
Well, there may be. We'll come back. There's more bull coming up as these two over here will ask the director. Let's see what that means when we come back.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes.
So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
So it's my first day back. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed 3 days off. It was, I guess, really the first 3 I've had since we've gone to this format in July of last year. And it is amazing what a couple of days at a ballpark will do to just kind of bring you back a little more refreshed.
Yeah.
And and all that kind of stuff.
Feel refreshed?
Yeah, a little bit.
There you go.
A little bit. I needed it.
Yeah.
So you all have 4 questions for me, 2 each, and David has taken some cheap shots at you. And yet I've thought that the quality of your questions have been really good.
They've gotten better.
And what I think is more important than what David thinks. I want to go on the record with that.
Oh, I appreciate that, George.
Yeah,
that
I just wanted you to know that.
I'm glad you put that out there.
Yeah, and I wanted David to hear that as well.
From where he started, there was only up from there for him, from his first time.
I'll take that.
Okay.
We've gotten better.
David, would you like to have question?
I would love to have question number 1. Thank you, George. I want to ask about Michael Jordan and his experience as an owner.
Okay.
Obviously a 6-time champion as a player, been a part of some of the best teams in NBA history with the Bulls, saw firsthand what Jerry Krause was able to build. Although Jerry wanted a lot of credit for himself, Michael was on a lot of good teams with Scotty and with Phil Jackson as head coach. Why do you think he could never build a winner in Charlotte?
That's a really good question. It's possible part of the answer is that the losing culture had been built before he ever got there, because they had not had a ton of success before he became the owner. The other thing that may have gone on is that the players who he thought would be in awe of him, now with each passing year, people forget a little more and more of his greatness. The Last Dance was sort of a deal that sort of aroused some, oh, wow, he really was that great. But for a lot of the players, I'm not sure that his impact was as awe-inspiring as he thought it would be. And then the fact of it is, he'd never been an owner. How good an owner was he? I don't know. I really don't know. On the surface, it seemed like a natural. It seemed like a home run. But there also is this belief that, as an owner, that he couldn't understand why everybody didn't get to his level.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, just from a talent identifying perspective, he would have a lot of input with the GM, with the head coach on draft time, picking the player. The only superstar he really had was Kemba Walker, and he was never a top 10 player in the NBA. They have LaMelo Ball now, but he's been hurt lately. So they just never identified a star player to put as the face of that franchise.
Here's the other thing, though, that we have to admit. In a lot of this draft stuff, you're better off being lucky than you necessarily are good. Yeah. Because trying to identify who's going to hit it and who isn't, it can be a crapshoot.
There's no doubt. George, you mentioned the word impact. I like that word, and I think it applies to a lot of different questions, right? And my question
is this now question number 2?
This is question number 2.
This is big.
This is big. This is big time.
Yeah.
In the city of Nashville, obviously there's been so many athletes that have made an impact in Nashville and have been able to grow the city. Obviously, you go back to a guy like Steve McNair, Eddie George, and maybe even a coach like Jeff Fisher or Barry Trotz.
Mm-hmm.
Who is, in your experience in Nashville, been here a while, worked here a while, who has been
grew up here a while,
who made the most impact on the city of Nashville in growing the city as a sports town? Because it took a little bit. It took a little bit for the city of Nashville to grow as a sports town. So what player or coach holds the most impact in the city of Nashville for growing the sports reach and interest in this city?
Well, you could make an argument that it's a politician.
Wow.
Phil Bredesen.
You're going to go off the field.
I mean, you could make the argument. I remember when he first came with the idea of building an arena, we had very little. The Sounds, Vandy basketball, and really that was it.
People think he was crazy a little bit thinking about an arena?
It really had been off the beaten path for a while. It really had not been just an issue that people were clamoring to get taken care of.
Yeah.
And Billy, what he did that I think was very important, after he announced that we're going to build an arena, he then put out what I thought was the most important piece of it, which was to say, okay, if a franchise will come here and be the main tenant of this building, they'll get the opportunity to run it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think he did that because I think he knew in 1993 till the thing opened in 96 that we were not, as a city, going to go head to head with a lot of other cities and win the battle.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like it is now. We were not a citizenry that really believed in this. Now there's pretty much total belief that we can put on damn near anything in this city sports-wise and be pretty proud of it. But back then, we didn't have that kind of belief. And so without that belief, there was a chance we were never going to get a tenant. And then the arena was really going to struggle. And that willingness to put that caveat out there, that whoever first one in gets the goods. And so you say, well, okay, what does that mean? Well, it meant that the Predators who made the decision to come in here could get all the Saturday night home dates they wanted. That traditionally is your best sports day of the year. And, rather than having to settle for something in between, that happened. Now, did it stop the city from, once it emerged, from getting an NBA franchise? Maybe, because they would have to run through the Predators who own the rights to the home dates.
Yeah.
But that was a key decision there. I would claim that, and this is a little biased, I would claim that the late, great Rick Regan was one of those people who saw to it that our city, on so many occasions back then, had to mobilize an army of volunteers to pull off things. And Rick was a big piece of that. The person that we honored.
The ringleader.
Yeah, the person that we honored this year at the National Football Foundation, Chris Casasanta, who won the first Rick Regan Award. Those people, man, you couldn't put a price tag on what they did. Now, to really answer where you want to go with it, I would say early on that it was probably Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
Because Fisher had, he had the little old ladies who loved him. Oh, he's so cute and blah, blah, blah.
The Tony Vitello sort of effect.
He came in here and it was like his word was gospel.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Fisher says, he had at a very young age, because he was hired by the Houston Oilers. He was the NFL's youngest head coach at 35, but he really was very PR savvy. And he knew coming in here that having the ability to be PR savvy, to do charity things, to get out and about in the community, kiss babies, shake hands, that really made a big difference for that franchise early.
Interesting. I would have never guessed Phil Bredesen. I like that one. That's a unique one. David?
Riveting question right there, Billy. I love it.
Was he being serious, or
I like that question.
Was that a little facetious?
How do you feel about that, Billy? Do you feel like I was coming after you right now?
No, I thought that was a genuine compliment from David.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, we're going to play buy or sell for me. I'm going to give you two MLB.
Buy or sell.
You're buying them, that they're for real. How about pretender or contender? How about that?
Okay.
Two MLB teams. It's June 16th, George, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are leading the NL West, up 2 games over the Dodgers. Are you buying or selling that the Diamondbacks are for real?
I'm buying that they are a legitimate wild card. I don't believe for a minute they beat out the Dodgers. I think at some point the Dodgers have got a few little issues right now. They are not getting perfect pitching every night like they have in recent years. But the Arizona Diamondbacks are for real. They're not for real to win a division title, but they are for real to be a wild card participant.
Second team is going to be the Miami Marlins. June 16th, once again. They're only 5 games back of the Braves, but they're leading 1.5 on the second wild card spot. So they would make the playoffs if the season ended today. Are you buying the Marlins as a playoff team?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Of course, if you remember in 2020, in COVID, when we played in front of nobody, the Marlins made the playoffs and played the Braves in the second round. They beat the Cubs in the opening round, got to the Braves and got hammered. Look, Miami's got good young pitching, and this is just a repeat of a lot of stereotypes about the Marlins, that their farm system does really well. They produce great young pitching. And then about the time you want to get really serious about the Marlins, their ownership sells it off for payroll purposes. Because if you look, I don't see that this winning has done anything for their attendance. I think they are equally as big a problem for MLB as Tampa Bay is. They've got a stadium that's new, but for me has sort of a mausoleum feeling to it. It's dark, it's dingy. You never see anybody in there. And, my hope for them is that wherever they go this year, that their ownership doesn't screw them over and sell it all off. Think about it. They've sold off Christian Yelich. They've sold off Marcell Ozuna, and they sold off Giancarlo Stanton. And you think about putting an outfield together. Good Lord.
That's tough to beat right there.
Man.
Tough to beat.
Is there another one?
Well, I've got one. Wait a minute.
There's no Pirates in there?
The NL Central is just interesting altogether. I don't want to throw that on you. I'm trying to pick a winner for that division. It's really tight contested. Like the Cardinals, for as bad as they are, they're 15 games below 500, but they're only 8 games back of first place. So,
which is why I would make a managerial change at the All-Star break, because that thing is winnable.
You got to think they're too talented not to turn it around.
Yeah, I just think there's something going on in their clubhouse, and I don't pretend to know what it is because I'm not there. But I know what I saw this week. There's something wrong in St. Louis.
It's kind of sad to see, actually. We talked about it earlier. That city deserves better. So hopefully they are able to turn that around.
It's a great baseball city. It might be the best baseball city in America.
Yeah, I mean, you were there. You sent me some pictures. Yeah. The crowd. It wasn't great, but still, you've still got people showing up.
Yeah, it was.
Go to that park.
In the 30. I don't know. Honestly, I never heard an announced attendance either day.
Maybe not a good thing. Probably not a good thing for St. Louis.
There were patches. I'll say this. There were patches in season ticket areas of a lot more empties than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
That's the part that would concern me.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Okay, last one. My second question here. Obviously, the SEC 2024 opponents were announced for every team last night, and obviously it's a year away. But for Texas and Oklahoma, which team in your mind is set up? I know we're still a year away from them coming to the SEC, and all I hear is the Texas they're set up better. Right? They're going to come in here and compete right away. And I asked this to Braden Gall. I said, "Is Oklahoma as far behind Texas as a lot of people say they are right now?"
Nah.
So I ask you, which team in your mind is set up for more immediate success? Is it Texas or Oklahoma? Because I think it's closer than people act like it is.
Are you talking about in football only?
In football.
Yeah, I think it's Oklahoma. First of all, Texas is all hat and no cattle.
They're always coming back.
We're always hearing about Texas. But the truth of it is, in my lifetime, Texas has won.
Certainly my lifetime.
They won the Vince Young national title in 2006. And you have to go back to the late 60s under a quarterback, James Street. I think they won in 69. But the truth of it is, in a lot of years, they haven't been a national title contender. Oklahoma has been a consistent national title contender.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's some big change that I don't know about. I'll also say this. I make a lot of fun that Texas has a lot of J.R. Ewing wannabes, little billionaires that want their little fiefdom. Oklahoma's got just as many.
Yeah.
A&M probably has a lot as well. Texas has always looked their nose down at A&M. And
you got to believe Oklahoma is going to find a way to turn this around. They're going to fix it quickly.
Well, when you say turn this around, turn what
Well, I don't
around?
even know if they need. I mean, obviously, you go 6-6 at Oklahoma. That's not,
Right. But when was the last time? I mean, they've been in the college football playoff several times.
Right. But just in reference to this last season.
Since 06, help me, since they won it in 06, has Texas been in the college football playoff?
They've never been to the playoff.
Never been.
In the playoff
era.
Yeah. Now, when Vince Young, that was the BCS.
That was BCS.
They played against Alabama for Nick Saban's first title at Bama.
Colt McCoy
and Mac Brown.
Was that the last BCS national title game?
It's not, because didn't Alabama play LSU a year later?
I think you're right.
Or 2 years later?
Yeah, but it was coming down the home stretch to that.
Well,
so.
Notre Dame versus Alabama was BCS as well in 2012. So
okay, yeah, I was totally off. But yeah, it's just interesting because you hear a lot about Texas.
What was his answer?
Braden?
Yeah.
Braden said he kind of agreed with you. He said obviously he would go with Texas right now, to have more immediate success in the SEC. But he said it's obviously not. It's not by much. Oklahoma is a historic program just like Texas. Maybe not as many J.R. Ewing wannabes, maybe not as many rabid fans, but Oklahoma has a better track record. So yeah, I don't think they're as far off as a lot of people might say they are.
It always comes down to the quarterback play, and I think Texas right now is better set at the quarterback position with Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning.
As of right now, yeah.
Well, now let me say this, okay? Quinn Ewers is badly overrated, in my opinion. I think he's slow. When I watched him a year ago, I didn't come away going, "Oh my Lord, there's the Messiah. We found it. It's Quinn Ewers." Now, whatever Arch Manning is, I think Arch Manning will blow Quinn Ewers in the dust. We might want to tape this. I might end up having to live to regret that.
We are definitely clipping this. You got the questions, George?
I like the questions.
Yeah. I thought those were good.
Yeah, I thought
round.
they were really good.
Good round of questions.
So we've got Plaster's Bet of the Day coming up, and we're going to have to talk through how do we handle Billy's 1 win and 2 losses, which, for the record, is a .333 winning percentage.
Not great.
That
not great,
is
Bob.
simply not good enough for my standards. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back in. Final segment on a Friday. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are, simply put, the best in the business. They are lawyers you can trust. So give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. And for George, it's still been a perfect week. He was 1-0 before he went off to vacation. Billy is the one who butchered it the rest of the week.
It's been a great week for you, George. Good job.
Thank you, Billy.
Great work.
So let me ask you this. When you put your bets out there, when you put your neck out on the line, as I had been doing month after month after month,
yes.
Did David second guess you?
David was a big help. He
Really?
helped me.
He helped you pick losers.
Well, I took his advice into consideration, and I think David helped a little bit.
Billy got Ohtani'd last night. He pitched and hit a homer.
Yeah.
So he got Ohtani'd.
Evaldi, the way he's been rolling, I thought that was a safe bet. But
Nathan Evaldi will be the big Ranger free agent signing. He'll have more impact than Jacob deGrom. But let me ask this question. Have I ever, in doing Plaster Bet of the Day, have I ever sought your advice?
No.
No.
Certainly not.
See, that's one of the keys. You've got to take what really is in your mind and go with it. You cannot let other people influence you.
So here's the real question, George. If you saw that Dylan Dodd was on the mound, would you be 100% sure that the Braves would win that game?
Right now, Dylan Dodd's a little bit of a dud.
So you thought the Detroit pick was okay then?
No, I wouldn't have gone there, period. Look, the Braves
You would have stayed away from that.
Oh, yeah, the Braves are considerably better than the Tigers.
Yeah.
And look, the fact that they are treading water the way they are with arguably their top 2 starting pitchers not available, Kyle Wright and Max Fried.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really says something about their offense. It says that bullpen-wise, they've got enough to if they can get pitchers who give them 6 innings and 3 runs, that the likelihood is they're going to be around.
Yeah.
Now, what is going to happen is while all these other teams are clamoring about trade additions at the deadline, the Braves may be in a position to say, oh, yeah, we're making some moves. We're adding Kyle Wright and we're adding Max Fried.
Yeah.
That's the old Chip Carey saying that he used to always say when somebody was hurt around this time of the year. We're going to get them back without having to make a benefit of a trade. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's there may be something to it.
I'm going to give you a benefit of the doubt, Billy. Detroit gave the Braves fits.
Oh, they did.
They did, yeah.
Really close games.
The Braves, I mean, they were, I don't want to say lucky, but they were probably sort of given a sigh of relief after getting by the Tigers that doubleheader.
Yeah, look, this is a work in progress right now.
Yeah,
pitching wise,
they've gotten by.
Their bullpen, honestly, has not been great. They've had some duds down there. Nick Anderson at times has been a dud.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't quite know right now what the roles are. Iglesias got belted Monday night in Detroit. Your ace shouldn't have that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they're having to just sort of tread water, and they're treading water okay because their offense is lights out. They're getting, when the 7, 8, and 9 are hitting in that lineup, they are a pain to pitch against.
That is tough to go against.
So let's go with where we're going tonight. I keep waiting for the Mets, who are at home, to bust loose. Maybe they don't. But when I look at the Mets, I see too much for it continue to be like this.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, I think they are one bad road trip away from getting a manager fired. Help me with this. We have not had a major league manager fired yet.
Nope.
It's too early for that.
Oh, good Lord. It hasn't always been too early.
Nah, not always.
Girardi was around this time last year.
Well, I guess all I'm going at is this. If I was going to look for a long shot, it's this guy in St. Louis. I think at the All-Star break, I think he gets fired.
He's treading water, a lot of it.
Something's going on in their clubhouse, and I don't know what it is, and I don't pretend to know. They've got way too much talent to be playing the way they are. So I'm going to Mets.
He's been dealt a bad card with Contreras. That was the issue because, you sign him in free agency, and he's a catcher. That's what you signed him for. And you're going to say, well, he's not good enough defensively to catch.
Well, he's the one that said it.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is.
Okay, so how does a guy go from being good enough for a 5-year period of time to suddenly not good enough?
Well, that's the thing is he's never been known in MLB circles as a defensive catcher. He's always been offensive, just like his brother. They're offensive catchers.
But the point is, apparently he was good enough in Chicago for them to get by.
Correct, but there was rumors all through the offseason that they were identifying Sean Murphy as the catcher they wanted to trade for.
Missed out on him.
And they had all the trade capital to get that done. Their farm system is way better than the Braves was.
What it really means is that all of the Braves farm system is now up there.
Correct.
I mean, as you look at their team here in Gwinnett, they don't really have anybody in their everyday lineup that you say, okay, he's headed to Atlanta.
Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah, that's about it.
Other than him, maybe Dylan Dodd eventually again.
Yeah, but my point is most of their young stuff is already up there.
Yeah.
Well, in St. Louis, to be honest, most of their young stuff is now already up there. Dylan Carlson and oh gosh.
Yeah, Jordan Walker.
Jordan Walker.
Their problem is starting pitching.
Sure it is.
So, and that's the thing is, who are you going to go to?
Well, until you get Flaherty fixed, and the big rumbling in St. Louis is that he's tipping his pitches.
Yeah.
And if that's truly what's going on, he better figure it out soon.
And then Wainwright's on the back end of his career.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. Wainwright's not blowing it by you. He's throwing 89, 90. So.
Jordan Montgomery should be good enough in St. Louis to win. I don't know. I
think losing Yadier Molina
has been a huge deal.
Has been huge.
And to be honest, in St. Louis, that's who they want to be the next manager.
Wow.
That is a really strong vibe that I picked up while I was there. Was the fan base wants this guy out, and they want Yadier Molina in.
Yadier Molina is Cardinals baseball.
He is.
He is.
Over the last 20 years, he is.
Yeah. Update from Omaha, George. TCU leads Oral Roberts 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th, and they've got bases loaded. So it looks like the Horned Frogs are rolling right now.
Okay, good for them. We're out of here for today. On Monday, we'll head back to the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Thanks to Adam English and his staff for putting this together today, and thanks to the weatherman for cooperating as well. All of you have a great weekend. Drive safely. We will see you on Monday.